Hi, this is Wayne Brown from Life Back on Track. Welcome to the latest episode. I'm not normally a fan of life hacks per se. However, for this episode, I want to talk to you about one that has helped me, and it's not only impacted one particular area of my life, it's impacted numerous areas. And this hack is having a good vocabulary. I've always had an interest in words. I've liked the way that they have power, they have range, they manage to encapsulate so many different aspects of our life. And I've always had this fascination, especially when it came to a magazine that used to come out monthly when I was a young fella, and it still comes out now. It's been going for decades now, and it's one called Reader's Digest. Now, Reader's Digest is made up of various articles on a wide range of subjects. It's got a jokes page. It's got anecdotes from readers, humorous stories. The one part that always had me, and it was the first thing I always did, was written by a chap by the name of Wilfred Funk, and it was Improve Your Word Power. And what he would do is, in this column, it was just 2 or 3 pages, he would have 20 words. And it would be obviously a word that's not in the common vernacular, it's not a common usage word. And he would give you 4 options as to what that word could mean. And then at the end of it, you'd be given the answers, and he would give you a rating so you could work out how you were doing in comparison to the average person. And I really enjoyed those and spent many, many years doing these. And the way this became a life hack is I have found over the years that having a broader vocabulary, a more powerful vocabulary, enables you to be able to communicate with everyone, regardless of their status, where they sit in a company's hierarchy. So you could talk to everyone from the cleaner all the way up to the CEO. Because of that power of vocabulary, you just adjust it according to the person that you're talking with. And the other thing as well is it tends to give you a confidence because you know that you can communicate with them on their level. Now, there's a number of different advantages as well to being able to communicate with various people. And what I've found is this, especially nowadays as I've got my mindset sorted, is it gives me the opportunity that when I'm going through a particular challenge or I'm trying to make sense of my emotions, I'm able to hone in better using a wider range of words. So instead of just being happy, I can be ecstatic. And that carries a little more weight than just happy. And being able to hone in like this means I'm better able to identify my emotions, I'm better able to utilize them, which also means I can then communicate to my partner more effectively what it is that I'm feeling, what I'm going through, or what I'm trying to inform her about. So, this particular life hack, I heartily encourage you. There's numerous apps. I've got a few on my phone that do a word of the day. So every day you get a word to use. Here's a couple of stories regarding vocabulary. I worked with a chap years ago, and he had mentioned to me that he was writing a novel. And I asked him, I love reading books. Do you mind if I have a read of it and see, how it stacks up? And he brought in the book and I read it, and it was a pretty good book. He had a good premise to it and he had a good flow to it. The problem was that there were places where he used words that just didn't have any oomph, any power. So I said to him, you might want to expand your vocabulary. And I bought 2 little notepads, the ones that are about the size of your hand. And each day or each week, at the start of the week, I would come in and I would have written 5 words and their meaning on the page. And during the course of the day, he had to come up to me 4 times and use that word of the day and put it in a sentence or a context that made sense. And so we did this for a number of months, and then I quit that job and I didn't see him for a number of years. And he didn't keep up that building of his vocabulary, which is a bit of a shame. However, he still remembered all the words that I'd taught him. And you could see when he was telling me this fact that he hadn't lost any of the recall of these words, that he was proud of himself for expanding his vocabulary and be able to have a more broad range of words to be able to use to fully describe exactly what it is he's trying to describe. So that was a really cool one. And then my two boys, as they were growing up, I used to say to them regularly, make sure you've got a good vocabulary. And my oldest boy would have been about the 15-year mark. And I said to him, well, I said to both of them, the really good thing about having a broad vocabulary is a lot of the times you're using words that are either not in the common usage or they're archaic. They're words that people just don't use anymore. And I said, and the good thing about knowing those words, especially if they're words that can be viewed as derogatory, is you can insult people, do it with a smile, and they feel you've complimented them, but you've had some fun just stirring them. And my eldest basically went out that day and bought a book on all these archaic words. The book was probably about as thick as your thumb, and he learnt them all. And I saw him a little while later, and he said to me, you know what, you're right, it's good fun. I was walking around and saying these things to all these people, and they were all excited because they thought I was giving them a compliment, but I wasn't. So instead of ripping into people, he was able to express that frustration that he had with them or whatever it was, but in a way that wasn't actually damaging to them. So he felt he could get it out and it wasn't causing any harm. So again, that's another advantage to having a good vocabulary. Also, it's good fun because you can do crosswords and all of this sort of thing. And I know that I used to have a lot of people, for some reason, they would figure out that I had a good vocabulary and they'd be doing a crossword or a word puzzle of some sort. And they'd just say to me, hey, Wayne, what's this word? Blah, blah, blah. Or what's the word for, whatever. And then I'd go, oh, it's this or it's this. And I used to be astounded how often I actually knew the word, which was a sense of pride for me of being able to tell them what the proper word was and actually be correct. So there's lots of different advantages to this. However, like I said, the big ones are being able to better communicate your thoughts, your ideas, your goals, your dreams, your frustrations, your problems to your partner, to your friends, to your family, to your children. So the better you can convey that meaning, the more accurately you can present yourself to these people, and you can also communicate with people regardless of their status in life. So really important. And also it does make it easier to understand a lot of legal jargon and things like that because you can tend to put things into context a lot easier. So anyway, that was my life hack. Nothing more complex than that. I do encourage you to get like a vocabulary building app. It's one that I enjoy. I still learn new words. I still get reminded of words that I may not have used for a lot of years. And so that's a little bit exciting, but I do encourage you to do that and practice them. That's the key. Start up a game with someone, with a friend or a family member or your partner. Have a word and see if you can just casually drop it into conversations and make it fit and sound good. Now, that doesn't mean you have to try and drop them into all conversations and try and impress people. It just means you have them there if you need them for that particular situation. So anyway, that's my life hack. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you put it into practice. So get out there, have fun with it, and remember, here's to a good life.